Hello there, now we are going to continue talking about range. In the last one we looked at how to use range and different arguments of range, and in this one I'm going to create another example of using range. In this one what we are going to do, we are going to create a list of square numbers. I'm going to call it squares. I'm going to set it to an empty list, and I will create a for loop. For num in range, let's start from 1 and go to 10. In order to go to 10, we will use 11. I will get a square of number. Now you can do number times number to get a square, or you can do exponentiation and get the square, and then I will append the square to my squares list. Dot append sq. Now if I print my list, I will get a list of square numbers from 1 to 10. Python range example.py. So the idea is that you can do anything with range, honestly, although it gives you numbers from starting from 1 and going to the other, but you can use those numbers and apply some math operations to get any kind of number you want. In this case we got squares of the first 10 numbers. So the next thing I want to talk about is something called a list comprehension. Because doing this kind of operation is so common in Python that we have a shortcut for it. Remember last time we talked about the shortcut for creating multiple variables in a single line? Now creating this kind of loop that generates the values. So this loop, the purpose of this loop is to generate a list of values which are squares. So as I said, there's a shortcut for it, so let me show you. Let me comment out this part and this one as well. So let's put it below because we are going to see our squares. So let me create the list of squares, and inside the list I'm going to write my for loop. Isn't that interesting? So for num in range 1 to 11. Now here I will do the exponentiation. This is the syntax for list comprehension, and let me run the code and show you. Python range example.py. You will get the same result. I wouldn't recommend you to worry too much about list comprehension right now. I would recommend you to practice for loop. This comprehension will come naturally to you as you practice for loop because it is not a new feature. It is just a shortcut of creating a for loop. That's it. But my job is to explain it to you. So let's do it. So this is the for loop part. This is the exact same part, and see, there are no columns in this example. This is the exact same thing. It will get numbers from 1 to 10 and put them in num. Now you will take the num and apply the operation here, and this will be stored in our squares. That's the simple idea. So I could do num for num in the range. That would have had no impact on num. We would have gotten simply 1 to 10. Here we apply operation to get what we want. So here we wanted to get a square, so we raised it to the power of 2. So let's say if I wanted to multiply each number by 10, I would multiply it by 10 and I will get all the numbers multiplied by 10. Python range example.py. It's important to see that this code does exactly the same thing as this code. So maybe if you make comparison, that would be a little easier to understand. Now let me make it back to squares. So that's the idea of a list comprehension. And then let's move on, and there is just one more topic that the book introduces, which are statistical operations. If you have a list of numbers, let me create some numbers manually: 2, 2, 4, 11, 9, and 6, for example. You can get the maximum number using max. So there is a built-in function. You can get the minimum number using min, and you can get the sum of all numbers using sum. And it would actually be a good practice to write your own code to do these. Maybe in the next example, in the next video, I will show you, but you can write code for getting the sum of the numbers, getting the minimum item and the maximum item, and those are built-in operations that you can use inside Python. So just to give you an idea, let's do it here. Max squares, print min squares, and finally print sum squares. Let's move squares to the top, and let's run the code one last time and see our result. That's the list squares. Maximum is 100, minimum is 1. In this case, it's very easy to see because they are sorted, right? 1 is the minimum, 100 is the maximum, and then we have the sum. So this was all the remaining content of working with numbers, working with numerical list in this case. And we are done with this section. Congratulations. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.